You know that sacred moment when you're lying in bed, one foot in dreamland and the other on the pillow? Lights off, total silence. Your mind starting to relax. And then, pling. Your brain decides to replay your life in HD? Remember that time you tried to dance salsa? Even though you've never danced salsa in your entire life? And that's it. Sleep packs its bags, grabs its flip-flops, and walks out the door. Picture this. Me, at a social event, trying to impress someone attractive by pretending I could dance salsa. But I had never danced salsa. And my thought process was, salsa is sexy. Salsa is seductive. Salsa is dangerous. My body, zero training. My mind, fully convinced I was a professional dancer. So what did I do? I went in, confident. That's when my brain went full. So you think you can dance? And screamed, improvise, do a spin. And my body, with the grace of a runaway Shetland pony, replied, dude, we've never trained for this. The result? I did this overly dramatic spin, threw my hand in the air like I was about to slay the dance floor, and yelled, OL, which, by the way, isn't even salsa. That's Spanish bullfighting. My foot tried to follow along but gave up halfway through. Bam! Misstep. Wobble. Near collapse. And the person watching me? Staring like they were deciding whether to call an ambulance, security, or an exorcist. Was that salsa? Or are you having an interpretive seizure? And the worst part? I thought I nailed it. I walked off like a drunk peacock, fully believing I was the salsa king of the suburbs. But then, someone recorded it. Because of course, life is a sitcom in full HD. When I saw the footage, I didn't look like a dancer. I looked like one of those inflatable tube men at gas stations, with vertigo, trying to make first contact with aliens. I was summoning the spirits of awkwardness. It looked more like a ritual than a dance. Arms flailing, knees confused, eyes saying, what's my name? Where am I? Where's the floor? The video. It made it to the family group chat, the office group chat, and even the group chat for the group chats. One uncle commented, is that salsa or an interpretive dance about epilepsy? Moral of the story. Never freestyle a dance you don't know. But if you do, at least turn off your life's record embarrassing moment setting. Or keep it in just two places. Alone in the bathroom. In total darkness. With all phones confiscated. Because it's one thing to embarrass yourself live. It's another thing entirely to become an animated GIF in your company chat labeled Friday, but make it spicy.
Hey guys, welcome to our channel.
I face the ultimate challenge. Greater than anything mankind has ever known. Assembling furniture. That's right, that wooden puzzle of screws and despair that turns peaceful people into amateur engineers and philosophers of chaos. You know what's harder than putting together furniture at home? Nothing. Not quantum physics, not sticking to a diet, not even understanding the ending of Donnie Darko. So the other day, I bought a wardrobe. In the store? It was majestic. Glorious. The box had such a beautiful illustration on the front. I almost wanted to move into the drawing. But when I opened it, it wasn't furniture. It was a collapsed forest. It looked like I had just purchased an entire Norwegian woodland, chopped down and sorted into chaos. Plus a battalion of screws that disappear into an alternate dimension the moment they hit the floor. And the manual? Just a folded paper with less clarity than tax forms. The manual. Basically a Mayan riddle. It had little faceless stick figures pointing to random places like Step 1. Attach Part A to Part B using screw Q666. Perfect. Just one question. Which Part A? Which Part B? They're all identical, only distinguished by a microscopic hole you can only see with a miner's headlamp and a blood pact with the unknown. I spent a solid 40 minutes just staring at the pieces, trying to figure out which side was the front. Solving a quantum equation in my head would have been easier than figuring out which end was up. And if you get it wrong, congrats! You've just built a wardrobe where the door opens into the wall. Perfect for hiding your shame. Then come the screws. You think, easy, just match and insert. Wrong. There are 412 screws, each with differences so subtle you'd need to be a Swiss watchmaker or have Spider-Man's vision to tell them apart. And the manual? Useless. It says things like, use the medium screw. Medium. According to who? Japan's standards or Russia's? I felt like a discount Bob the Builder going through an existential crisis, sweating, hair stuck to my forehead, sawdust in places sawdust should never be, and one of the pieces just refused to fit. Screws flying, parts vanishing, and I'm there looking like I'm trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while wearing boxing gloves. Every board had a mind of its own. One of them straight up rebelled. I'd press one side, and the other would leap out like a possessed drawer. At one point, I started negotiating with the parts. Come on, sweetheart. Work with me here. We're in this together. If you fall, I fall. Literally. I genuinely thought that piece belonged to a different piece of furniture. Or another dimension. 5 hours later, one finger injury and a full-blown identity crisis. I finished. And just as I tightened the last screw, the whole wardrobe started to wobble. It wasn't a wardrobe, it was an open invitation to chaos. If there were music playing, it would be dancing with the wall. I stood there like, did I just assemble furniture? Or summon an MDF poltergeist? And the drawers? Oh, the drawers! They only open if you lightly headbutt the top left corner while humming Gregorian chants. But hey, it's standing. Slightly crooked, with a real leaning Tower of Pisa energy. But it's there, fulfilling its sacred mission of being mildly terrifying. In the end, the wardrobe stood. So did I, barely. One drawer creaks, one shelf is tilted, and my sanity resigned around screw number 3. It's built, it's crooked, and it's staying. Just like my dignity after this whole experience. Next week, I might build a dresser, or develop a nervous twitch, whichever comes first. So tell me, has anyone ever actually survived building a wardrobe? Public restrooms are the true battleground of modern civilization. The one experience that makes you feel like a survivor, a civil engineer, and a martial arts master, all at once. You never really know how desperate you are, until you face a public bathroom. It's like life is giving you a survival test, a full-blown resistance challenge. You walk in, and your brain instantly screams, maybe I'd rather implode my own bladder. And then comes the great door dilemma. You always test it first, because trust is dead. The smell hits you so hard, you start seeing your life flash before your eyes. Mom, I'm sorry I didn't pee before we left the house. You start breathing through your mouth. One eye closes involuntarily. You move like a spy infiltrating an enemy base. There's toilet paper on the floor that looks like it was launched there by a dinosaur with stomach issues. There's a puddle of fluid. What kind? Nobody knows. Science hasn't classified it yet. Possibly alien. And the toilet paper that is available? Feels like it was forged during the Ice Age. Dry, brittle. Practically a fossil. You touch it and it crumbles like an ancient scroll. But the real nightmare is when there's no toilet paper at all. Now you're just staring at that giant paper towel roll like it's your last resort. You know it's wrong. You know it's not made for this. But you also know it's all you've got. And the toilet has battle scars. It looks like a wild boar fought an octopus in there and lost. So you begin the survival ritual. The toilet paper nest. 3 layers for hygiene. 5 for emotional trauma. You're laser focused, folding with the precision of a Zen origami master. If someone peeked in, they'd think you were building a medieval fortress. You've become the architect of sanitation. But none of that matters if the flush fails. And it always fails. It's never a button. Never obvious. The flush is a mysterious being, designed by a team of engineers who hate logic. There's a sensor that doesn't detect humans, a lever that defies physics, and a foot pedal that makes you feel like you're launching a space shuttle. And at some point you ask yourself, am I getting out of here with my dignity intact? Answer: highly unlikely. Now let's talk about soap. Soap should be a basic human right. But sometimes it's rarer than water in a desert. You press the dispenser and a tiny puff of air. That's the true humility check. You reconsider your entire life up to that moment. You debate just rubbing your hands on your jeans and moving on. And the hand dryer? Oh, the betrayal. The biggest lie technology has ever told. It promises dry hands and delivers nothing but warm wind and disappointment. It blows just enough air to wake the germs sleeping on the floor. You walk out with wet hands, your pride dripping down your soul, and the feeling you just survived a season of Bathroom Survivor, Apocalypse Edition. But the craziest part? You survive. You do. And when you make eye contact with someone walking in, you give them that look, the one that says, I've seen things. And you whisper, from the depths of your soul, good luck.
There are invisible scars that shape lives. Abuse steals your peace, but not your strength. Breaking the Cycle of Abuse is an interactive guide where you'll find powerful tools to identify the signs of abuse, understand the dynamics of violence, Find shelter and legal and psychological support. Plan a safe exit from a harmful environment. Overcome trauma and rebuild your self-esteem. Start your journey of healing and transformation now for just $9.60.
Yesterday, I went to the doctor. Nothing serious. Just that classic 30-plus ritual. Paying someone to confirm you're still functioning. The doctor looks at me seriously and asks, "Do you exercise?" And I answer with total confidence, "Of course. I run from my problems." She didn't laugh. She didn't write anything down. Pretty sure I just earned a diagnosis for chronic laziness. We continue. She says, "You're going to feel a little pinch." A little pinch. Whoever invented that phrase has clearly never had a needle jabbed into that strategic location. That's not a pinch. That's an MMA move straight to the soul. The nurse chimes in. "Just relax. Relax." Really? How am I supposed to relax when you're holding a needle the size of a flagpole, aimed directly at my spirit? But it doesn't stop there. I went to the dentist right after. And here it comes. The classic killer question. "Have you been flossing?" I look him dead in the eyes, with the honesty of someone on trial, and say, "Absolutely." While my brain screams, "Only when there's popcorn involved." And why do dentists insist on making conversation, while your mouth looks like a tool shed exploded inside it? So, did you travel for the holidays? Translation. I'm barely breathing, let alone talking. "Oh yeah, that's nice. Dude, I could say I went to Mars and he'd be like, cool. Now open a little wider." And of course at the end, comes the verdict. You need to improve your brushing. And I'm thinking, buddy, if I had your arsenal of lasers, sonic jets, and intraoral cameras, my brushing would be NASA level too. But hey, at least I tried to take care of my health, right? Then the doctor, with the seriousness of a judge, says, "You need to sleep better." Sleep better? My brain at 3 a.m. is like a karaoke party of random thoughts. Do ants have belly buttons? What if I had replied to that email back in 2009? Why am I even here? Sleep. Sleep stepped out for a smoke and never came back. And in the end, the thing that stresses me out the most is knowing I'm paying for all this just to hear, "You're stressed." And I'm sitting there thinking, is there a test for that? Because if there is, sign me up. As long as it doesn't involve running, flossing, or any of those little pinches. Chopping onions is basically a scientific experiment in human endurance. Have you noticed that chopping onions isn't cooking? It's an emotional survival challenge? It's like a culinary reality show. Tonight, on MasterChef Desperation, the contestant faces the dreaded onion. First, you feel invincible. You walk in all confident, chest out, pretending to be a fully functional adult. I've faced life, HOA meetings, bills, waiting in line at the bank. An onion won't take me down. But the moment the knife touches the onion, your tear glands throw a full-on protest. 2 seconds later, your eyes are swollen. You're crying like a soap opera finale, whispering, "Why, Dios mío? WHYYYY." That's when the desperate survival tactics kick in. You enter the anything-goes phase, turning into a mad scientist trying every trick from YouTube. You wear swimming goggles, looking like you're about to dive with sharks, but still crying like you just watched your team lose in overtime. You try holding your breath, only to get dizzy and see your life flash by in PowerPoint slides. One day I froze the onion. Thought I was a genius. Result: almost lost 2 fingers trying to slice a frozen aromatic brick. My kitchen turned into Narnia. I swear I saw a penguin doing the dishes. Then someone always appears, all enlightened, and says, "Oh, just chop it underwater." Underwater? Dude, this is a salad, not a scuba expedition. What do you want me to be now? The Aquaman of vegetables? I'm cooking, not training for the Navy SEALs. Then comes the big moment. Mission accomplished. Eyes red, dignity destroyed, and a smell that will haunt you for eternity. And after all that trauma, when you finally finish, eyes soaked in imaginary eye drops, you realize the most painful truth of all. You used half an onion. Half. That's it. You faced an ocular apocalypse to chop. Half. The other half goes into the fridge, of course. Uncovered. Unprotected. Knowing full well that tomorrow, it will be waiting for you, oozing vengeance. Just lying there, naked and sinister, releasing a smell like a warning. I'll be back. And I'll bring the tears. And the worst part? The next day, you open the fridge, and it's there, staring at you, judging you, looking like a zombie onion, half alive, half dried out, 100% bitter. But I push on, at least until the next recipe calls for onions again. Because the truth is, chopping onions isn't cooking. It's a rite of passage. Once you survive that, you can survive anything. With therapy, of course.
Want more mysteries, twists, and exciting moments? So you can't miss this video. Click now and continue this journey of fascinating stories. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any news. Leave your comments and see you next time.